Okay, so today I'm going to be doing a presentation for my Math 125 class on In Defense of Guess and Check. My name is Michael Clark, and I'm doing this report for Professor Pearson. So let's get started. All right, so first and foremost, the guess and check method. What is it? If you're presented with a math problem to which you don't know the answer, take your best educated guess at it. If you're wrong, take what you learned with your first guess to guess again and make a better guess. Continue to guess, check, and modify until you find your answer. Historically, the guess and check method has only come into academic acceptance relatively recently. Even I remember it as an elementary school student who was told by my teachers that if I didn't know the answer definitively, to not guess at it and ask for help instead. I remember very vividly one example in third grade. One of the only things I remember from being 8 years old was I was doing my multiplication facts, a worksheet, and my teacher, Mrs. Williams, came over to me, saw that I was doing guess and check without even knowing it, and crumpled up my paper and threw it in the garbage. She told me that if I needed help and didn't know the math facts off the top of my head, that I could not guess at them. All right, for the example number 1 of the guess and check, out of the 25 rounds at the county spelling bee, the Mighty Mites won 3 more rounds than they lost. How many rounds did they win? Show your work. All right, so for the first guess, I knew that we had to have 3 more wins than losses, so I did 12 and 9 to satisfy that criteria. But it does not satisfy the 25 rounds. It only adds up to about 21. So I knew that one was wrong. For guess number 2, I wanted to go a little bit higher, so I went 17 wins, 14 losses, which does satisfy the 3 more rounds, but it doesn't satisfy the 25 rounds total. It's actually 31. So for guess number 3, I knew 12 and 9 was a little too low, and I knew 17 and 14 was a little too high. So I went somewhere right about in the middle. I went with 14 wins and 11 losses, and it turned out to be correct. And here are some of the advantages to teaching the guess and check. I personally would suggest that the guess and check method is the most inherently human way to solve math problems, or problems in general, really. When faced with a problem, especially as a child, I would always guess. All right, well, that didn't work, has always been one of my most used sayings. Also, this method teaches perseverance, a term that is used over and over again in modules within the Common Core curriculum, especially now. And oftentimes, it will take more than a couple of guesses to get the answer right, but the student must learn to persevere through it. All right, for my second example, I wanted to go a little harder. Ben has 100 baseball cards of players from 3 teams: the Mets, the Yankees, and the Red Sox. 10 of those cards are Yankees players. He has twice as many Mets cards as Red Sox cards. How many cards of each team does he have? All right, so this is actually a 2-step problem. So the first part, you don't have to do any guessing and checking at all. They tell you straight out. 100 total cards minus 10, because those are the 10 Yankees cards Ben has, equal 90 cards remaining. So from the 90 cards remaining, we have to figure out how many Mets cards Ben has and how many Red Sox cards he has. So for my first guess, I guessed about 45 Mets cards, which would leave me with 27 and a half Red Sox cards, which turned out to be wrong. Because they can't have 0.5 of a baseball card. For guess number 2, the 70 Mets cards and 35 Red Sox cards also turned out to be wrong. It was a little too high. It served the twice as much criteria, but it did not serve the 100 criteria. It was just about 5 too high, exactly 5 too high. So for the third guess, I was trying to find numbers that would be just about halfway between 45 and 70, which led me to 60. So my third guess, the 60 Mets cards and 30 Red Sox cards, ending up nailing it. That satisfies both criteria, that it has to be adding up to 90 cards, 60 plus 30 does, and it has to have double the Mets cards that it does Red Sox cards. And so 60 and 30 nailed it. right, let's wrap it up. The guess and check method is one of the most intuitive methods to teach your students, no matter their age or ability level, because it's one of the most instinctual and human methods of problem solving. And the less authoritarian classrooms have gotten over the years, the more teachers have allowed students to guess and check, both on homework and on state tests, in order to make their own mistakes and find their own answers. And that really is what the Common Core is doing with students nowadays. It is teaching them to find their own way and to make sense of the numbers instead of memorizing their teacher's way. When I'm in a classroom, I'm not going to be having my 21 students all memorize my way to do multiplication. I'm going to teach them about numbers and have them find their own way to make multiplication sound simple and easy to them. All right, that's about it. So thank you very much for listening, and I will see you on my next presentation.